someone that's in the hot spotlight.
The least sexy thing about being a model.
You have 90 days to see if you want to get married or not.
No.
You and this guy.
Yeah.
You meet each other.
Yeah.
And then you hang out for 90 days.
No.
Because we're worried that we're putting the hard work into the wrong person.
Yes, I did.
Welcome back to another episode of First Rounds and Me, a First Rounds and Media production. Today we are joined by a woman who knows exactly how to navigate life, love, and a little reality TV chaos, the incredible Fernanda Flores. You might recognize Fernanda from 90 Day Fiancé, where she shared her real-life love story with millions. But trust us, there's so much more to know to her than what you saw on screen. Today we'll dive into her life as a model, the myths and the realities of modern dating, her biggest icks, green flags, and the surprising lessons she's picked up along the way, both on and off camera. Fernanda, welcome to the show, darling.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hello, Fernanda.
We only met a couple of weeks ago, and I love the pipeline of just like meeting people. And I was like, you absolutely need to come on the podcast, not only because of your history, but we sat down and had like a very organic conversation about like love and relationships and dating. And I was like, this needs to be filmed for the masses.
Yeah.
So did you end up married to the person on 90 Day Fiancé?
Yes, I did. I was married for like 6 months.
Yeah, really? I'm sure Hannah's got a bunch of questions.
In and out,
I always
you know?
jump the gun.
You always jump the gun, but also at the same time, that's just part of your charm. Well, I was about to say, like, for those who aren't aware of the premise of the show and or your journey in of itself, can you give us like a little synopsis?
I mean, it's reality TV. It's really made to feed your screen, you know? It's like entertainment. So the basis of the show, obviously, it's like, yes, it's me, it's this person. But a lot of things were very guided. And I will say, when you navigate a relationship that's already complex and you add on a whole production company asking you to be in all these different scenarios, it adds a lot of pressure and a lot of like even more complications. So I would say like it was really the fact that we just didn't know how to deal with it together, and we were very early in the relationship too, to have that foundation to deal with everything.
How's it work? So you and this person meet for the first time.
Yeah.
And then you have 90 days to see if you want to get married or not?
No.
It's not like a contestant show.
No, I'm saying the way I understood it was you and this guy.
Yeah.
You meet each other.
Yeah.
And then you hang out for 90 days.
No.
No,
okay.
that's what I'm saying. It's not
How does it work?
like they had a previous relationship beforehand, correct?
Yes. So we first met.
I don't know anything.
Yeah. Okay. Let me give you a little rundown about it. I was 18 when we met, and we were in a long distance relationship for a year and a half.
Where'd you meet? Okay, where were you in
We
overseas?
met in Mexico. I was in Mexico going to school. He was traveling. We met on vacation. We stayed in touch, kept a relationship for a year and a half. Through that period, he came back. We will, have a long distance. But then we got engaged. So I came to the U.S. and the government gives you 90 days to get married within that period of time once you get to the U.S. to be able to have a residency. So we went through that process, but at the same time, we filmed this show. It's called 90 Day Fiancé, which films those 90 days of each person that goes through this process.
Oh, that makes it way more enticing.
Yeah.
You
And
did
then...
that.
But
It's
yeah,
interesting.
without it being filmed, basically.
Oh, wow.
You guys did that.
Yeah. Well,
you went through the K1.
No, we didn't go through a K1, but we went through a very similar process where like I went through the green card process.
Yeah, okay.
And that was like a lot actually longer and more arduous. Like the K1 visa is
It's very easy.
is a very straightforward process of it.
And the thing is, like, for instance, my dad is American. He was not born and raised in the U.S. That's the one thing they don't show in the show because it's supposed to not fit the whole thing.
Yeah, the narrative.
But my dad is a citizen, so I was able to also get my citizenship through my dad. But at the time, the process with the K1 was just faster. So yeah, immigration law is very tricky. So you kind of navigate it to whatever works best for you. But so essentially, like the show films the 90 days of culture shock when you're meeting their family for the first time, when you're, kind of like the language barrier and difference between the age gap too, because he was 13 years older than me. So there was, a lot of things that played a role into making an interesting show. So
I didn't realize you were 18. You're a baby.
well, when we met,
I know,
when we filmed the show, I was 19.
But still, baby. Like, when you think about, like, being 19 years old and, like, not only being thrust in the situation where you're going through the legalities of, like, the immigration system, which in of itself is hard enough, but then you have a reality TV show crew, like you said, guiding you and doing certain things because that's just what reality TV is. I was about to say, like, was there, I think you kind of just answered this even just through, like, your father being an American, but was there anything on set that, like, the producers didn't want you to show that you kind of have revealed after?
I mean, it is a tricky position. It is a tricky position to be in for myself because I've signed a contract that, you know, essentially keeps me from being like completely transparent towards like what I went through. All I'm going to say about that experience is that I am so grateful I went through it because I wouldn't be who I am and I wouldn't be where I'm at without that experience.
Damn straight, babe.
So that truly is the conclusion for me. I filmed that show 7 years ago. And I will say, like, it opened so many doors and opportunities for me working in production, knowing all these people and, like, understanding and the experience and the audience I gained and being able to, you know, just keep that audience, grow it, and just kind of, like, navigate my career in that path. And I mean, I fall in love into, you know, social media marketing and modeling and entertainment in general and just, like, it has gotten me to a lot of great places, so I can't be
damn straight,
grateful.
Well, but as you said, I think you, like, even more so than like just an audience, you built a community through that, right? Like so many people saw you go through, you know, granted a very curated version of whatever it was, but then they were like, oh my gosh, I connect to this woman so much, and then they followed you through to where you are today.
I just feel like at the end of the day, the bottom of line is like love, right? There is so many people that will do a lot of things for love. In my case, I kind of just like, you know, move countries and why not? But most people will, you know, if you're in touch with that part of yourself, you're brave and you're just kind of like excited about whatever the outcome might be. Yeah, a lot of people feel relatable to that. And when I first moved to the US, I didn't speak any English. There were so many things that were hard and a lot of people go through, but the difference is that they are not, you know, in a whole show or record or film or share. But yeah, it is difficult. It's difficult to leave everything behind on the name of love, not knowing what's going to be of your life. And it is a tough process, especially if your partner doesn't end up to be that, like, you know, solid foundation that's going to help and support to get through the process. But yeah, I also encourage, and just my main, like, takeaway and what I really enjoy is to share with my audience and whoever followed me through that process and understood that I didn't give up. Like, really, just every situation, I just like to be that example. And honestly, it's part of my motivation of like, okay, I didn't get this far just to get this far. And that's kind of like what keeps me going every day.
I love that, though. I think that's like everything that you go through in life is so formative, and your experience was very unique. But as you said, and I think you said it so beautifully earlier, it's like it's landed where you are now. And speaking of, you model, right? And as a former model, and we just had Trey on the podcast, and we were talking about this a little bit, and I'm always really curious because there's such a glamorized version of modeling in a lot of ways. So what do you think that's something that's like the least sexy thing about being a model that would surprise a lot of people?
The least sexy?
Like the least glamorous thing about modeling?
I mean, it really is a lifestyle, though. It's, people don't understand the pressure that you go under when it comes to your looks, you know, like having to have a healthy lifestyle that's gonna imply you being in the gym 5 times a week and eating healthy and caring for all of these different aspects of yourself. Like, it really isn't just, oh, I was born pretty or with certain characteristics that are attractive to these, you know, clients. It's more so keeping that standard. And for instance, throughout the career for me too, dealing with emotional stuff, you know, mental health, it plays a role into, you know, you're eating more, you're eating less, and like it creates kind of a pressure. So I would say that part is not glamorous at all. And if anything, it just kind of like troubles you when it comes to the way you look at yourself, and you're always conscious and in a constant questionary of like, is this up to the standards of my clients and what I'm putting myself to? Am I like, you know, you're just too hard on yourself. And I feel like
level of self-criticism is like off the charts. It's so hard to reckon with, particularly as you like, I think you don't really notice it so much when you're younger, and this is just my perspective, but I really started to notice it as I got older. And even kind of like when I met Joe, I was at the tail end of my career. And I was trying to explain to him like the damage that it had done internally to my own self-perception. He was like, "You're the most beautiful thing in the world." And I was like, "Oh, but like this or that," or like, or like you'd find these little things to pick at all the time. And then when I left the industry, it just took me so long to like, it's still in the process of doing it, of like unwinding that.
Yeah.
But you're right, it's a 24-hour job. People think that it's like, you just have to set and everything's beautiful.
It really is about, it's so much work in I will say internally as a person, because even for instance sometimes, and it just not only in the modeling world but also in the content creation world, at least myself, if I don't feel in a good position internally, it's very hard for me to put up a face and fake it. And it also, I will say, I could look at my work when I was going through like difficult times internally. I could look at my work and be like, I can totally see that something's off, you know, the spark that
in your eye,
like, yeah, something's off. And so, for instance, and most people probably don't see it. Some people that are very good in the industry, they'll see it. But it is that pressure, though. Always be good, always look good, always be your best, always. So it's so much pressure.
I think that, and again, this is something that we talked about with Trey, but it's like how that relates to your love life and your dating life, right? So like, we were saying this before on Trey's podcast, and Joe was like, absolutely no way. But I was like, it's harder to date when you're a model, or there's like this penalization that comes along with being a model. And Joe was like, what do you mean? Didn't you? You were like, if you say it's harder being a model and dating, then you're lying. But it's like this expectation that's placed on you. And so how do you think you've experienced that throughout your like dating career?
Absolutely. I would say that if you are in the hot spotlight, if you're like,
I like what you say it, hot spotlight.
Is that?
I like that. No, I like it. I think typically the spotlight, but I like the hot spotlight. I'm going to use that from now on.
I didn't even realize that I said that.
You coined a beautiful new term.
Cute, honestly. So I will say it's very hard for a man or for any person to understand and be supportive without being intimidated or insecure.
That's that perspective.
That's very tough. At least myself, I realize that my partner or the man that I'm gonna end up with, it will have to be a very confident man on his own skin and about himself, because otherwise just the industry I'm in, it's very difficult. And especially when you leverage out of your looks and your charisma and your character, it's not for the weak.
Do you think that you'll meet somebody who's behind the scenes, or someone who's kind of the same what is that, hot spot?
Hot spotlight.
Hot spotlight.
That's a good question. Yeah. Do you think you'll end up with somebody who's like behind the scenes or someone who's in front of it?
I think I'm going to end up with someone that's behind the scenes, but cool enough to handle the scene.
To like understand and integrate into the scene. To not be intimidated by it.
Where do you think you'll meet these kind of guys?
Hopefully in New York.
And now, when you go on a first date with somebody and they're not the hot spotlight,
I love it.
It was like I said, we coined a new term.
Do you kind of tell them off the bat, your background a little bit, like, you're a celebrity-esque, or you just kind of say, this is me, they have no idea who you are?
Yeah, I like to just introduce myself as who I am today, because truly that's what matters. So yes, I'm very transparent, but I'm not going to be like, oh, hi, my name is Fernanda. I'm 27 and I'm divorced and I was in a 90. And I'm not going to do that.
But do you think you see a shift? So say you went on a first date with somebody and they just were like, hey, you're really beautiful. You're really funny. This is a great first date. And then you guys exchange Instagrams. They go home and like, whoa, this person's huge.
Yeah.
Do you ever run into that where you see a shift?
Definitely. Absolutely. Yeah? Yes. And as I mentioned, it goes back to like the person, right? Whether they're into someone that's in the hot spotlight.
That's the name of this episode.
Yeah, hot spotlight with Fernanda Flores.
Or they don't care. Or in fact, it's exciting. And it's like, oh, that's very cool. Wow, dope. Nice. She's a creator. Or it really depends on the person. I'll say for me, I discovered that's a non-negotiable, because prior my last relationship, I kind of like understood that that person didn't like it that much, you know. He like supported but didn't, but like, and I realized how important it is that my partner is hands-on supportive about everything I do, because it's a non-negotiable. I love my career. I really am so proud of what I do, and I want to get as far as I can, whether that's with a husband and kids, and I just never gonna stop, you know. I just know it. So when I realized in the early stages of dating, if the guy's not gonna really be supportive, I'm just not even gonna pursue it.
What if he's extra supportive and he wants an autograph on the first date?
Oh, that's also not.
I was going to say, I don't think that's supportive. I think that's a little too,
That's not
too
playing
invested.
Yeah, that
No.
is actually not nice either.
No.
Yeah, you don't want that. Did you want someone that will like understand it, be cool, supportive, but like we also, and here's another thing. I will say everyone that's in modeling, acting, entertainment, social media, and you play some sort of character. Like that is the bottom of line. I am not who I am on the camera 24/7. A lot of the times I try to create content that's very organic, that shows like who I am on and off. But at the end of the day, it's a character, and you're energetic most of the time, and you show the best times, and you show, you know, kind of like you're the best sides of your personality. And so it is important that your partner gets to know you, who you are off all of that, and who you really, you know, internally, like your down moments, what's like your insecurities, all these different things like that you can connect on a deeper level that will make it unique for the two of you, right? Because that's the tough part though. When you're sharing so much and you're exposing, you don't have that much privacy, but at the same time you're able to connect on a deeper level and have that just for you and him. And I'll say like someone that's curious enough to do that with you, you know?
And to understand and acknowledge the fact that you are not like, you're not always going to be this gilded view of yourself. You're not always going to be this like on person. There are so many, I mean, we're all like that. Regardless of the industry of which you work in, like everybody has all of these different sides to themselves. It's just ours are played up more and they're shown more to the public. And when you break it down, you want someone that loves you for all of you.
Yeah.
How long do you think it takes for you to be fully vulnerable with somebody that you're interested in?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Ooh, that's a very tough question, because lately I became very like walled up. And it's just because of the heartbreaks I've been through, you know, and obviously like the disappointment of not only in relationships but friendships, but also in career, you know. I will say like now in my life right now, I'm a lot more cautious, and I want to live by this always, and it's remained, you know, keep your boundaries strong, but your heart soft.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes, I really do believe that that's the key, because I do want to be who I am, because I remember of myself at 18, 19, I was such a naive girl. I was so in love, so excited about all these different things, and just like hungry of all of these amazing new adventures, and that was beautiful. There is such a beauty to that, and I don't want to lose that. I still want to be this childlike spirit that's gonna just be excited about life. So I do see how sometimes when you get your heart broken over and over, that can change, and I don't want to lose touch of that genuine soft heart. But at the same time, you realize that not everybody deserves, you know, to see it and feel it and touch it. And so I'm like dealing with that right now, where I'm just welled up, and whoever is going to get to see that part of me, and it'll be because they show and prove themselves to be someone that won't, you know.
That one, yeah, they show that they respect the boundaries that you put in place to begin with, and they show that respect for you as a human being, and then it leads you to the fact of being able to be vulnerable, because at the end of the day, it's incredibly difficult to be vulnerable with somebody.
Yeah.
Even like in a marriage, like it's sometimes it's really hard for me to be vulnerable with Joe, because it's like I don't necessarily want him to see that side of myself, but it's like the more you trust somebody and the more that they show that they're there for the good, bad, and perceived ugly, the easier it is to be able to break those walls down.
Exactly. Totally. But in today's dating, it's also like, who really is willing to go through all of that, right?
Nobody.
It's like, no one.
It's a sad thing.
It's like McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's just, what's the next on the menu? It's
Exactly.
cheap. I'll throw it out. What's
Fast food
next?
love.
It's
Yeah.
so sad though. It really is sad because we go back to like the problem we have is like nobody really wants to commit to anything. Like commit to run club, commit to gym membership, commit to something, you know?
That's Equinox's motto right now.
What?
Yeah.
Commit to something.
Really?
Actually, that's true. I've seen it. Probably that's where it's from. But yeah, it's difficult because there's so many options out there. Why to go through all of that, you know, like to get deep and if I can just get what
It's interesting
I
you say that
physically
though.
need.
And I never actually thought about it. It's pretty simple to think this way. Think about working out. If you want to have the best body, it takes so much hard work and you're going to feel uncomfortable for a long time.
Yeah.
And then once you get 6 months in, you're like, man, I look great. This is awesome. I'm glad I did that. Why do we not do that with dating? Why don't we put hard work in for 6 months? And then when you get to some point, you're like, man, I'm so happy
You
to
know
put this
why?
hard work in. This
You
is
know
awesome.
why? Because we're worried that we're putting the hard work into the wrong person. We're constantly shown.
But same as
True.
working out. If you do all that hard work for 6 months and it's the wrong person, you still did all that hard work for yourself. So the
True.
next person you
Even
meet
more
will get
true.
an even better.
Yeah, but I
version
don't
of
think
you.
people see that through line. I think people see that like when they've put in like this work with one person, that all of that work stays with that person and they have to start over new. But that's a really beautiful mindset to have, is like all of the work that you do with one person isn't just for them, it's for you. It's how you grow as a human being. It's all the lessons that you learned. And like you were just saying something before, is like you learned from your past relationships that you need to keep your boundaries strong and your heart soft. Because that's what people have taught you, and it's something that
Yeah.
you took away from
Yeah.
all of those
That
experiences.
would be a good reality TV show.
Ooh.
You give two people on a first date, but it's a workout. And it's like, where do you want your body and your relationship to be in 6 months? But you can't leave one or the other.
Yeah.
And then you compare in 6 months. Okay, what's better, your body or your
No.
relationship?
You couldn't pay me enough to be able to
That'd
do
be
that.
sick.
Nah.
Actually, that's a very good idea.
Right?
Yes.
All right, whoever steals
mean, if
that,
you-
I'm the founder.
If the relationship didn't work out, you still have a great
Yeah.
body for the next one.
And if the body was kind of good, but the relationship's great, you're like, well, I got a great relationship. And if both are great, boom.
Boom, you're successful, happy,
Equinox.
fit.
Commit to something. Let's do this.
You're a man of many good ideas today, aren't you, darling?
I can see.
Let's do it.
All right, we don't have a lot of time left, unfortunately. However, I want to get some of your hottest dating takes. All right, so I'm going to give you some
Yeah.
just like random rapid fire
All right,
dating questions, and we'll see how you feel.
let's see.
What's a dating rule that absolutely needs to be retired?
That absolutely has to be what?
Retired, like it has to go away. Like we need to stop. Is in modern dating dealing with this one dating rule that everybody says?
I don't know.
It's hard.
What do you, all right, so
Wait.
with that question, do you have a height rule?
A high rule?
like
height.
height.
Like,
Height.
he has to be 6'3".
No. I mean, obviously, I will prefer that the guy is taller than me, or I can wear heels and he will be still my height. But it is not a breaking deal for me.
No deal breaker.
No.
All right, who pays on a first date?
Him.
Why?
Because I would say it is kind of like a gesture and just as a gentleman like thing. That is one thing about me. One thing about me is that because I was born and raised in Mexico, I feel like that culture that I was brought up when it comes to dating, it's always a very like the woman is, you know, certain way, the man is certain way, and there's certain kind of like gender
Roles,
characteristics. Yes. So for instance, like my family, my grandparents, my grandma was a housewife, my grandpa would do all of the, you know. And then each one of them had their own rules, and each one of them loved and appreciated each other for
what they
that.
did.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like kind of like one is more than the other or anything like that. It was more so like just the household function very good in that structure. And my grandma was the heart of her family, and she cared for everyone, and she made sure that we all had, you know, the house spotless and food and love and all these amazing things. And I could see how like that dynamic is a very good thing. However, like in today's world, it's a little bit tricky. Can I pay for the date? Absolutely. Can I pay for myself? That's not at all question, but it's more so like the gesture and them showing you like the appreciation too. I don't know. I see it that way.
I like that. I like that a lot. I think a lot of women feel the exact same way, and I think it if it's done in that way with that motivation versus just like I expect people to pay just because they're men. Like I think when it comes from a motivation like that, it's really beautiful.
No, I don't think it's I don't think it's that it shouldn't be that way either. Just like, oh, you're the man, you're supposed to do these things. there should never be an expectation of like something they must do. I kind of always offer, but
She does the reach. We love the reach.
I'd offer just out of like just decency. But if they they let me pay, I'm like, you're a friend.
Immediately friend zoned.
You're a friend now. Yeah.
Is cheating ever forgivable, or is it once a cheater, always a cheater, a hill that you will die on? It's hard to nuance question.
It's an easy question.
What's your answer?
It's always forgivable.
You think cheating is always forgivable?
No, not always, but it's forgivable.
You just said it's always
It's
forgivable.
If someone's genuinely sorry and like,
Yeah. I guess
I disagree.
you always tell people that in the first 3 months that I cheated on you, but we're married now.
Yeah, but we weren't like
You cheated on her?
committed.
You didn't specify when it was.
You cheated on her.
No.
Yeah.
She thinks I did.
He kissed somebody
We
else.
were not.
No.
It's a classic Ross and
we were on a
Rachel
break.
situation. It's
You were
not,
on a break.
We went on a break.
Remy, we were on break. I literally said 2 days before, hey, I don't know what I want right now in life. Let's just take some time apart.
The day of, he said that, and then he went out and kissed another girl.
Yeah,
that night.
okay. I was like,
it good?
Trying to kiss. No, I was so drunk. I have no idea what
Yeah.
it was like. I
See?
paid for our drinks though. So I
You pay for
date.
the girl?
Yeah.
Just so gross.
That's even worse though.
That's what I'm saying. You're so gross. But yeah, in a committed relationship, I think that if you cheat and like there are some forgivable moments, but I think at the end of the day, like
Steve cheated.
it breaks the absolute
and we're
trust.
big fans of Steve.
Yeah. I think so too.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say that it goes back to every person is its own person. And if your partner is going through something and their way to, express what they're going through was that has nothing to do with you. And you have to just let them solve their own issues. And then maybe like that can be worked out. I'm just like nowadays, I'm like a lot more open-minded than what I used to be. If you asked me this question when I was younger, I'd be like, hell no, it's out the window,
See you back later, yeah.
But now I'm a lot more emotional, empathetic towards understanding everyone's journey is different. So if my partner did something wrong, but they're going through something, I would say I would navigate it differently.
I think I agree with you. I think that I would navigate it differently too, but I also like coming from the place of being like married and like with a baby on the way, right?
Yeah, no, that's
I sit there and
different
I sit there and I
world.
think to myself, I'm like, if you as my husband couldn't come, if you were going through something and you felt the only way to go through that was to stick your dick in somebody else,
Yeah.
I'd be
Right.
like, what the fuck's going on here?
I totally
Yeah.
agree with you, and I would never do that.
Good job.
But big but Steve did it, and I was a big fan of Steve
He's talking about Sex in the City.
being forgiven.
Oh.
So
See, yeah, that's also another example. Like, just again, we go back to say they're their own person. So whether you have very strong values and boundaries to who you are as a woman and how you want to navigate your life and your body and your relationships, and that's you. You cannot put that into them. They're them. And if their way to cope, it's like just crazy sex with a stranger. I'm sorry that you had to do that. Like, that sucks for you, but like, fix it. Like, do something about it. Like, can you? If you can't, then it's done. But like, I don't know. I feel like
Yeah, okay, I understand what
just
you're
a
saying.
preference
mean?
for the audience. I know they're looking at me a lot. I have not
you
cheated.
did.
I did
That was because you're
nothing.
the opposite gender.
Joe's feeling the hot spotlight on him right now.
We're not attacking you. It was just a kiss, and you were drunk. Nobody even remembers.
Plus, we weren't even engaged, so it was
There you go.
All right, one last one. What's your biggest dating green flag that you think more people should pay attention to?
Green flag.
Yeah. So what's like a really beautiful thing that people overlook perhaps in dating that's like a really good indicator that this person would be a great date or in a great relationship?
I'll say matters in the sense of a lot of guys still do like the opening the door, moving the chair, just being kind, kind of like I would say the little things, and putting more, to me, at least for myself, I really appreciate a lot more someone that I can have a conversation with and is actually interested about my life and me. I feel like that's often at times just overlooked. A lot of my girlfriends will be like, oh, looking at all these other characteristics about themselves when they're actually a genuine good person, and they're like, yeah, but he doesn't that, and I'll be like, green flags, someone that listens, someone that's actually curious. Because everything else in life can be worked out. I will say when there is good connection and substance.
Good bones to a person.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
You got to be quick.
Well, we have 2 minutes.
All right.
Remy, we have 2 minutes. Yeah. The perfect drink time and place for you to go on a date in New York.
The perfect
Drink, time, and place.
Time and place.
I really
If you met the man of your
like.
dreams on Canal Street right now.
Actually, we're in Canal. I think also in Canal, it's this place called Casino. Do you guys know it?
No.
It's an Italian restaurant, but also has a bar, and it's like a very low key, romantic Italian,
Ooh.
but very like team. Like kind of. I like mysterious places that are romantic, but also very like low key. That's my favorite for like a first date.
What kind of drink would you get?
I'm debating with that one though, because I would say a glass of wine.
Okay.
Classic.
Maybe a mezcal espresso martini. So good to go to.
Okay. My last question.
Yes.
If you had 24 hours
Yes.
to chat with somebody before you met them, what kind of questions would you ask them and what kind of questions would you want them to ask you?
I will ask the basics, at least for me, right? That are like religion. Do they believe in God? That's like a very important one for me. I'll ask if they want to have kids and what their hobbies and their lifestyle is like and what see their life like in the next, I don't know, year or so.
Okay, cool.
I like that. Deep questions.
I mean, the thing is that we go back to the same thing. What's the purpose in dating, right?
100%.
For me right now, I want to have a partner that will just align with where I'm going. So
I love it. No, I love it. I'm all here for
very
it.
intentional.
My darling, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast
Thank
today.
you guys
Short
for
and
having
sweet,
me.
but in the best way possible. We know where to find you, but can you let our listeners know where they can find you on socials?
Yeah, so social media, Instagram, Fer Flores Oficial, TikTok, Fer Flores Oficial. And I think that's it.
We'll plug them.
We will.
That has a very beautiful Spanish accent. So for
Stunning
you
pronunciation.
dumb English people,
Yeah.
we'll put the
Sorry.
link. And thank you guys for listening. Please check out one of our past episodes. Subscribe. It really helps us go a long way. We love you. We appreciate you. Happy dating, and we'll see you next time.
Happy dating.